The key to success. What is the key to success? Or more importantly, what is the key to your success? Many people sell success out there, success literature, success formulas, but it's really simple. You have to decide first what success is to you. What do you desire in life? We all want to be happy and fulfilled. That's really what we desire, and we think whatever we want to achieve is going to bring us that feeling of success, that feeling of happiness, of fulfillment, of contentment, if you like. So what does that mean to you? I like Earl Nightingale's definition of success. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. Note that he didn't say success is when you achieve whatever it is you desire. He said it is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. You can have success, or at least what the world deems to be success, by achieving great material things or financial things, or by achieving success with a lot of women, a lot of, in a constructive way. Achieving a lot of body counts as a man, we'll say it that way. Some men deem that as success. But even that wouldn't be considered a worthy goal or ideal. Or would it? Maybe that would for you. But you may find that leaving you feeling empty and unfulfilled, although enjoying it on the journey, possibly. But everyone is different. What do you feel is your definition of success? Do you have a destination? Do you have a vision? You must first have a vision or a destination. Somewhere to get to, somewhere to journey towards, something to journey towards. Or how can you know that you are successful if you have no destination? When you take out on a trip or a journey in your car, usually you have a destination, unless you're just going riding around for pleasure, which can be enjoyable. But usually you have a destination. You may stop and get gas, or you may stop and enjoy the scenery along the way, but you're going somewhere and you know where you're going. And even though you stop here and stop there, you get back on the road and head towards your destination. And this is how it is in life. When you have a vision or a goal, you head towards that goal. Now, there may be many distractions during the day and throughout the journey, but with a destination and a vision, you get back on the path and you head towards that goal, and eventually you get there. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't enjoy the journey, because you certainly should. Because when you achieve your goal, there will be a certain elation or satisfaction for a while. But the fulfillment and the happiness comes from the journey, the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. But how many of us, not me because I have written goals, and not you, I know, because you have written goals too. And if you don't, you're going to write them down today. But how many people have no idea where they're going? And they get up in the morning and they turn the news on, or they scroll through social media, and they look at all these different things, and they allow these things to influence their actions of the day. First off, they allow these things to influence their thoughts of the day. And where do they go? They're blown around here and there by everything they hear, which half of it is probably not true. and the other half you can't do anything about anyway. But yet they use all their mental energy, their vision, if you like, because they're envisioning these things they hear about with emotion and anger, and then they're complaining about it to other people or talking about it. So they're creating more of this in their world, and they're not going anywhere, nor will they ever arrive anywhere, because they're not heading anywhere. So when you set a goal or when you create a vision, everyone has a desire within them, a God-given desire to achieve something. Usually, more often than not, achieve more than what they're achieving. Most of us live far below what we can accomplish. And until we start striving for that we can really accomplish and use the unlimited power we have within us, we will feel unfulfilled and unhappy. Thus, why so many people turn to drugs, alcohol, prescription drugs, social media, gambling, Xbox, etc. Now, all these things, there's nothing wrong with any of these things. It's just a question of how much of your time are they consuming? Are you spending a lot of time on Xbox? Are you spending a lot of time up at the local Quick Mart on one of those gambling machines? Are you going to the casinos? Regularly, these are all activities that help us to extinguish that desire that keeps popping up. That thing that we know we're supposed to do, but we're afraid to do it. And we start rationalizing all of the reasons why we can't do it, or how it's so far away, or how I can't afford it, or how I don't have the capacity, or I'm not smart enough, or there's a million reasons why you come up with to extinguish that desire that is your God-given desire, and you have a right to have whatever it is you want. But you choose not to pursue it. And you choose to make up reasons. All they sound justified and rational. Logical reasons. Logical reasons. Think about that word, logical reasons. I don't know how many newspapers, but there were many of them that were afraid to print the first successful flight at Kitty Hawk of the Wright brothers, because the greatest scientist, we've been hearing about science lately, haven't we? Trust the science, had proved that man could never fly. That was a privilege reserved for the birds. There you go. And look at us now. Look at us now. But yet the great scientific minds, and now we're told, if we're on certain platforms, that we cannot disagree with we cannot disagree with the science. I won't go into that too much because I do respect the wishes of YouTube, so I want to conform to their policies, so we won't go there. Marconi, he was the one who made it possible for us to use cell phones today. But a long time ago, when they could only transfer voices through wire, he told his friends, and he believed, that you could transfer sound, voices through the air without wires. His two friends had him locked up in a ward in this asylum for a psychiatric evaluation for 2-3 days because they thought he was crazy, because he wasn't, what's that word? Logical. And that's what you do. I've done it too. You logically figure out that there's no way you can do what you really want to do, that it won't happen for you, that it's just a privilege for others, but not for you. You didn't come from a rich family. You didn't graduate high school. You didn't go to college. And how many times were you told in high school that if you don't graduate, you'll never get a good job? And what's the underlying message there? If you don't graduate from high school or college, you're never going to be successful. And it's bull crap. That is not true unless you believe it is true. I am a high school dropout. And I've managed to be successful in my life. Am I as successful as I want to be? No. but I am more successful than I would have been had I listened to the teachers, all well-meaning, that told me that I'll never get a good job. You better graduate from high school. You're not going to be able to do anything. They told my father that. They told me that. They tell my kids that. Your attitude will determine your altitude, not your formal education. Now, do I believe in education? Of course I do. I've been educating myself profusely, I think that's the way you say it, for the last 32 years. And of course I was getting education before that, but not formal education. What they teach in school. Basically, they teach us in school to memorize. In my opinion, after the 5th or 6th grade, it's just repetition of more of the same, that unless you're going into a certain field, you're not even going to need it. And if you do, you can learn it later. I had a successful English school in Latin America. I flunked English in high school. But when I opened my school, I studied, I learned English, and I knew more about English than I ever did in high school. But I've forgotten it now because I haven't used it since I've been back. It's been about 10 years. So there you go. Anything you want to learn that you need, that you desire, that goes along with your goals, you can learn. Most of what you learn in school is forgotten in a short time. So how do you get to this success? How do you make this vision you have within inside of you come to pass? Especially when it's a big vision and you think, God, how do I ever get there? I don't even know where to start. It's real simple too. Do what's in front of you. But you won't have anything in front of you unless you first decide where you want to go. How can you take the first step if you don't know what direction you need to go in? When you set a goal, when you write a goal, when you envision yourself as the person you desire to become, things will start happening. You will start meeting people. Opportunities will be presented to you. You will walk into opportunities that seemed to never be there before. They were always there, but you couldn't recognize them because you weren't in tune with that. Just like you tune a radio, you try to tune it in and there's other stations that are interfering and you can't get it. But let's say later on during the day, or you're on a different location and you tune in again and you get your radio station clearly because there's no interference. When you set a goal, when you write down a goal, you're tuned in to, let's say, your radio station or what you desire. And these opportunities, which were always there, you couldn't see before, now are obvious to you because you're tuned in to your desire. And you can see these things. They become apparent. And you may even think, why weren't these here before? Because you had your goal, but you thought about it occasionally. You didn't really tune into it and start seeing yourself as the type of person who could accomplish this goal, who could make this come to pass. And it's not so much what you achieve in life, it's what you become in the process. And therein lies the problem for many people. They don't want to become. They just want to get home and watch the latest, I don't watch TV, episode of the Kardashians and have a couple beers or get high or smoke some weed or watch the football game or whatever. And if you're happy with that, if you're not complaining about not having enough, and if you're okay with everything, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's all you desire in life, but if you have a desire in you, a dream that you've been pushing down for years, logicalizing it, rationalizing all the reasons why you can't do it, or saying you'll do it later, procrastinating, I'll do it when the kids get out of school, I'll do it when I graduate, I'll do it when I retire, I'll do it when I get that raise, I'll do it when I get that new job, etc., ad infinitum. If you're doing that, then you're not happy and satisfied with your life. And if you're chugging down 5 or 6 beers a night or more, or getting high every night when you come home, for any reason other than medical reasons, true medical reasons where you need it for pain or whatever, I'm not talking about anxiety, then more than likely And if you're having anxiety, there's a good chance it's coming from the fact that you're not doing what you really know you need to do, what you really desire to do, but the anxiety or the fear is stopping you from doing that. And I don't say this to belittle you. I want you to live a fulfilled, happy life. I am living that life myself. Do I have problems and troubles? Of course I do. Do sometimes I feel like, is it worth it? Am I ever going to get there? And then I realize I am there. Everything I have today is something I wanted yesterday, is something I dreamed about yesterday, is something I envisioned yesterday. Once you get the vision in your mind, in a book wrote long ago, someone said something very wise. Without a vision, the people perish. And you, without a vision, will perish. You'll perish in the sea of other people's agendas. You'll get caught up in all the, and I've done it even lately here. I got to watching some of those clips on YouTube about politics and different things and the latest illnesses and all that. I can't do anything about that. I really don't need to know. What I need to know will come to me without me looking for it. And thus it is with you. Does that have anything to do with my goals? No. Then why am I spending time listening to it, feeling justified and righteous because I knew this or I knew this was happening. I knew they weren't telling us the truth. It doesn't matter. These things will pull you away from your goals. But if you have a goal, a vision you're envisioning every day, you will realize that you're being pulled away and you will get back on track. Just like when you're traveling and you're going to a destination, you pull off to the side of the road because you see something beautiful and you enjoy it, or you don't. And now I got to get back on the road and head toward my destination. But if we back up to the people who have no goal, who have no vision, who have no destination, they never get there because they're constantly being pulled off. They have nothing to get back on and get back on track. They have no track. That's why it's so important, and I emphasize all the time, to write down your goals, to spend at least twice a day, 5 minutes a day, twice a day, envisioning you through your own eyes, experiencing whatever your goal or your vision is. And get that feeling. I mean, it's somewhat magical. Some people call this esoteric garbage or fantasy. But what they don't realize is that they've achieved any success, and we all have some success somewhere. That's exactly how they achieved that success. First, they saw themselves doing it. They had a desire, but they just don't recognize it. They do it subconsciously, let's say. But you can do this consciously. Your conscious mind can program that into your subconscious, which will create a way, which I can't explain how that works, but it does. It creates like a automatic homing signal to take you to where you want to go. But you have to make the decision. You have to put in the effort of writing it down and taking the time out every day, excuse me, to see yourself as that person, to become that person. And also, in this process of becoming, you have to be willing to go through the storms, the disillusionments, the discouragements, and the victories and the successes. These build your character. The disappointments, the losses, the failures, of course, build your character more than the successes. And that's where many people get off course. They give up. Because many times as you move toward your destination on this highway, you're going to have a flat tire or two, or maybe your car is going to break down. But in life, when that happens, do you just, oh, well, I give up. You turn around and go back home? Or you leave the car on the road and just, go sit down on the bench? No, you get it fixed and you move towards your destination because you know where it's at and you know you're going to get there. You can even see yourself there and probably have. It's the same way with your goals. You're going to hit roadblocks, denials, disappointments, delays, but you just keep pressing on. How do you think the successful people that you envy or that you admire got to where they are today? By persisting. Persistence is omnipotent, and you must persist. But to persist, you must first just do the next right thing. And it may be something that seems to have nothing to do with your goals. It may be going to have the oil changed in your car when you want to be a famous singer. What could changing the oil in your car have to do with being a famous singer? You want to go do something. You want to practice. You want to get an audition. You want to meet somebody. You want to connect with somebody who can introduce you to someone who can get you on stage on American Idol or whatever it happens to be. But how do you know when changing your oil is what is in front of you, because you haven't done that and it's overdue, that you're not going to go there, get your oil changed, and while you're waiting around, meet the very person you need to move you towards your goals? And maybe you won't, but if you do what's in front of you, that changes the whole course of your life. So maybe 2 weeks from now, you're going to be in a position which you wouldn't have been in because you didn't change your oil. Because each choice that you make changes your future. I can choose to speak to you for another 5 minutes, or I can cut it off now. And each one of those choices will determine what my future is going to be like. I had a guy tell me, he wasn't my mentor, but I took things from him as a mentor. He said, take a different way home. Like drive a different way home. And I thought, well, that's stupid. What difference does that make? I'll tell you what difference it makes. Because we as humans, we have habits. We have success habits or failure habits. And we have a habit of doing the same thing the same way every day, day in and day out. And you want your life to change, but yet you're not changing anything. First, you're not changing your thoughts because you've driven home the same way so many times you can do it automatically. You do it subconsciously. So if you don't believe that's true, how many times have you gotten home and not even remembered driving past the liquor store, the park, or whatever? Because you did it on autopilot. But when you drive a different way home, this changes that. You start becoming conscious. Because most people live in a dream. And it's not a real good dream, it's more of a nightmare. Because they're not awake. They never think about what they're thinking about. All day they're on autopilot. They come home and do the same thing after they did the same thing every day when they worked. And then they wonder why their life doesn't change. If you take a different way home, guess what? That changes the whole pattern. Everything changes. It's a simple thing. Just go a different way. Even if it takes longer, take a different way home. Get out of the rut, which is your life, if you're not happy and fulfilled, and do something different. And that something different is the next right thing. No matter what it is, do the next right thing. It may be to go down and talk to your son or your daughter, or to apologize to your wife because you said something rude to her because you're in a bad mood, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing as a man. When a man is on his path, when he's pursuing his vision, he's a happy man. He's a fulfilled man, and everybody wants to be around him. And your woman will admire you, look up to you, and respect you. And your vision is not your woman, it's not your family. It could be your family. But usually a man has a vision that is for his family, but in the way that it supports his family and sets an example for how he wants his children to be, because he is the leader of that. So what is the next right thing for you to do today? Leave a comment in the comment section and tell me, what is the next right thing? Like I said, it could be to go out and mow the yard, or to plant a flower, or to just go to the park and walk in the woods and sit down for a few minutes in nature. It could be to read a book. It could be to listen to a YouTube video. It could be something totally irrelevant, seemingly, such as go to Casey's and get a cup of coffee to get you stimulated. Whatever it is, it'll pop up in your mind. Too many times we do not listen to our intuitive voice. I had something happen the other day. I was trying to think it was an example. What was that? It was a small thing, but I did not listen. So whenever something pops in your head, like go to this, go to that, you need to do it. If it's congruent with good and with your goals, or as long as it's not incongruent, because sometimes we can't connect. We can't see the big picture. So what the next thing to do is, as I said earlier, may not seem like it's corresponding or has anything to do with your goals, but you don't know that. As long as it's the next right thing, which is morally good in your eyes, whatever that means to you, we all have a moral compass. What is right for you may not be right for me. That's why I can't judge your life, regardless of how you live it. And I could get into this whole right and wrong, absolute truth. That's, what's right and wrong, okay? I want to go there, but I'm not going to. We'll do that some other day. But you know, for you, what is right and what is wrong. We have that compass that tells us, that little voice that says, this isn't what you should be doing. And sometimes I don't listen to it either, to my own detriment. But I advise you to listen to that voice, to get in touch with that voice, because that's the part of you that knows. Whenever you have to rationalize, justify, or figure things out as far as if it's right or wrong, usually it's not. If you have to make it okay in your mind, you probably need to stay away from it. That's not the next right thing. I'm going to end it with that. Thanks for joining me. Share this with a friend if you think it will be of value. If it'll help, you think it'll help them. Share with a friend. I appreciate you guys. 1,719. I would love to hit 2,000 subscribers by July, so if you share this with a friend. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. I appreciate you guys. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you join us on the podcast every Saturday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'm out of here. Have a great, fantastic day. Take care.